Thank you for your patience. We're about to get started. I said that 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, but we're really about to get started, I promise you. You have an elbow?
No, I mean, it's a handheld mic, so, if you want one with an elbow, we can do that. Or you can hold it. Okay, so the thing about this is, it's not gonna pick up from there, they've gotta hold it right up to their head case.
It's directional mic.
Yes, yes.
Welcome to the Martin Luther King Foundation presentation on Martin Luther King Day. I am going to give the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather to honor Martin Luther King Jr. Is this on? I guess it's on. Okay. Is the ancestral land of the Dena'ina and the Atna Dene, who have stewarded this land for thousands of years. We give our respect to their past and present elders and thank them for sharing their wisdom and values. We also thank the current tribal leaders for their continued vision and stewardship. We welcome Knik and Chicaloon tribal members and other Alaska Native people who are here today, and we thank you for your presence. We want our words and actions today and ongoing to be for healing and not for harm, and we want our awareness of the footprints of your ancestors and of your continued positive contributions to grow. Our hope is that we extend true respect, reconciliation, and community. Thank you.
Can we bow our heads for prayer? Father God, we come thanking you first of all for being so good, so kind, and so merciful. God, we thank you for this day that has been set aside to honor a man that had a dream. We thank you, oh God, for every hill that he had to climb, every mountain that he had to cross over, for every valley he had to go through. God, we thank you now because it had not been for you, we could not be here today. If it had not been for you, if it had not been for the breaking of racial barriers, if it had not been for the press within the people to keep pressing on for a better life, God, we would not be here. We thank you now for traveling mercy on today. Realizing, oh God, that as David said, if it had not been for the Lord on our side, then the enemy would have came in and overtaken us as a flood. God, we thank you for being God. When we did not know which way to go, we leaned on you for understanding and direction. And God, you gave us a beacon light. You gave us men like Martin Luther King that stood up, that would not be silent. You gave us other men and women that blazed the trail, oh God, for us to be where we are today. Because of them, oh God, we have our freedom. And as Martin said a long time ago, let freedom ring. God, we thank you now for being able, oh God, to lift our voices unto you, to acknowledge you, oh God, that we don't have to hide, oh God, to serve you. We thank you that what you've done, oh God, it wasn't done in the dark. And God, we can do it now in the open. We can acknowledge you for who you are. You are Jehovah, our provider. Thank you for being El Elyon, El Shaddai. Thank you, God, for all that you have done. Realizing, oh God, that the battle is not over. Realizing, God, that even though you brought us from a long ways, we still got a way to go. We ask you now, God, that you will look upon the men and women, boys and girls. Oh, God, touch the heart. Let love abide. Let it abide, oh God, that it will be reached from heart to heart. Let us, oh God, put aside our difference and realize that you created all of us all, oh God, in the image of God. You created both male and female. We pray now, God, you will look upon those that are going to participate in this program on today. That something will be said here to you, oh God, that we can take with us and build on that we can learn from our past and press as we grow in the future. We thank you now for all your many blessings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Grace. We could all stand now and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the flag which will stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Before we continue the program, be aware of the different exits around you in case something happened. Know where they are so you can get to them without any trouble. Also, be reminded as you came through the front doors, there were several booths. I ask as you leave today that you stop by those booths and visit those. One of those places is a survey. We are looking for your opinion on this program and how we can improve it to serve the public better. There's also a table with food you can take with you, and if you don't need the food, maybe you know somebody who needs some, pack a bag and take it to somebody who might need it. The bathroom is out in the exit to your right, out in the hallway there. And if you have any questions, just see anyone with a shirt like I have on, and they can direct you as to what's answer your question or get you in the right direction. Thank you. Finally got started. Thank you guys for really coming this afternoon. Does everybody have a program? Okay, open your program if you will. And I want you to go to what it says mission statement. Let's read it out loud, please. Unifying Okay. Number one is the event. This is it right here. Number two is the educational part, which is really basically a part of our program. As mentioned before, the safety, where the exits are. We want you guys to really learn something from this event today. We have a good packed but an event that deals with breaking racial barriers in a spirit of nonviolence. And we hope and we pray that that theme is hold true to the people that you will see this afternoon, because the people that you're going to see and going to hear from are those ones that broke barriers. Dennis May retired from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, where the last assignment was Deputy Director, Center for Minority Veterans. He's previously served Department of Direction, Veterans Employment Coordinator Services, and Deputy Director. He earned a master's degree in Public Administration at Central Michigan, Master's of Science in Human Services. He commanded the 17th Mission Support Squadron, Goodfellow Air Force Base in Texas. He's a dear friend of mine. If we're ready to show that, please go.
Good day. I'm Dennis May, and I want to thank you all for the opportunity to offer remarks commemorating the 2025 Martin Luther King Day and the Divine Nine. Special thanks to Andre Jackson, my good friend for over 50 years. In the interest of full disclosure, I can tell you I met Andre when I was 12 years old, and by way of sororities that are part of the Divine Nine are Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, founded in 1908 at Howard University. Zeta Phi Beta sorority, founded in 1920 at Howard University. Delta Sigma Theta sorority, founded in 1913 at Howard University. And Sigma Gamma Rho sorority, founded in 1922 at Butler University. For those of you out there who are members of the Divine Nine, I salute you. As noted earlier, all of these organizations are committed to community service and uplifting the lives of the community, all of the community, not just their own members. So it's no surprise that as the oldest Black Greek letter organization, Alpha Phi Alpha, Dr. King would be attracted to the Alphas at Boston University in 1952. Manly deeds, scholarship, and love for all mankind are the aims of that fraternity, of our fraternity. Alpha's national programs include Go to High School, Go to College, which encourages our youth to seek higher education, and A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, which is a nationwide voter registration effort that Alpha has undertaken for several decades. Now, what we've learned about Dr. King's life for years, even before his birthday became a national holiday in 1986, for me, a primary lesson of his life is to get outside of your comfort zone. As we reflect on Dr. King's life, you can see that he came from what would be considered a middle-class family, son of a pastor. Dr. King went to Morehouse College, got graduate degrees at Boston University. You can see he could have easily come back to Atlanta, followed in the footsteps of his father, and ultimately become pastor of Ebenezer there in Atlanta. He, however, took a detour. The Lord led him to Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama, in the shadow of the Capitol building where Jim Crow was enshrined in law. Through faith, or the Lord's will, if you will, he founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and led the Montgomery bus boycott that ended segregation in public transportation in Montgomery in 1956, all at the ripe old age of 27 years old. He went on to lead the nonviolent civil rights movement in the 60s, led the March on Washington, where he gave his famous I Have a Dream speech, and was an icon in the African American community. All of this, however, came at a cost, as he was ultimately assassinated in 1968. But Dr. King's lesson for all of us, and one of the more meaningful ways we can honor his legacy, is for us to get outside of our comfort zones. Now, we don't have to lead great movements or even risk our lives. We can simply start where we live. Go where we don't usually go, talk to people we don't usually talk to, try to make a difference in our communities in ways both large and small. Let people know we have more in common with each other than our differences. You'll be surprised at the impact you might have, but only if we meet folks with love in our hearts. We may not make a historical impact like Dr. King did, but we will certainly have a positive impact in our neighborhoods, in our cities, in our states, through love. As Dr. King stated, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So as we commemorate Martin Luther King Day in 2025, let's commit to honor the legacy of Dr. King by getting outside of our comfort zones and committing to love one another to make our communities better. Again, thanks for this opportunity to share a few thoughts, and may God continue to bless and keep each of you. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Matsu MLK Jr. Foundation, for your leadership on putting on this great event 23 years running now. And I want to begin by thanking Mr. Andre Jackson and so many other leaders who have been working hard to do this every year. I really enjoyed being part of the event last year and would love to have been there again in person, but thanks for the invite to say a few words here. I'm actually in D.C. for today for the inauguration of the 47th President of the United States. But I did want to just say a few words and begin by recognizing those who you are honoring today, of course, in addition to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I know part of the celebration and honoring today is first the late Melvin Sage, the Vice President of the Martin Luther King Jr. Foundation, who has been an incredible volunteer for so many organizations across the valley, an active member at the Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church of Palmer, and my heart goes out to the Sage family. And I hope today both the celebration and remembrance of the great work that Melvin has done for the community will be remembered and lift up family and friends who are missing him. And also today recognizes John Childs, who continues to bring incredible, classic, energetic, and impressive opportunities in the sport of drag racing. Also in the Valley, John is in his 80s and has led his family to drag racing fame, volunteered, again, that's a theme here, and raised so much money for good causes across our state. So thank you to the entire Childs family for all you're doing in terms of volunteering and leadership throughout Alaska. Today we are obviously honoring, in my view, one of America's greatest citizens. One of America's greatest citizens. You know, here in D.C., in the Capitol, there are tributes to some of the greatest citizens on the floor in the rotunda, and those statues are the Founding Fathers, Abraham Lincoln, and of course, Martin Luther King Jr. So Dr. King is in our Capitol as one of the all-time greats, as he should be. And there are so many reasons for that, but one that I like to emphasize whenever I talk about Dr. King's legacy, the many legacies, is one that is particularly relevant today. Dr. King remains the gold standard in America on how to engage in political and civil discourse with respect and dignity and civility, even during divisive times, even during very difficult times. I remember in my remarks to the MLK Foundation of Alaska for the Dr. Martin Luther King celebration in 2018, I talked about Dr. King's speech, the eulogy that he gave at the funeral of the 4 girls killed by the KKK in the Birmingham church bombing in 1963. And if there was ever a time an American leader had the right to lash out at his political enemies, it was in the aftermath of this horrific, murderous act. But even in that speech, if you go take a look at it, he talked about respect and dignity even for these horrendous murderers. And it's quite an amazing speech that makes the point of Dr. King's focus on civility, dignity, and respect, even during the most divisive of times. You know, Dr. King also talked about how the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. That's one of his great speeches. We have more to do in America and Alaska in that regard, but we're making progress. You know, we recognize historical wrongs, and we try to remember them, but then build on them when we correct them. I was just recently, you may have seen, I was part of some ceremonies, or one ceremony, but getting our military to officially recognize and apologize for some of the horrendous actions over 100 years ago that they took against our Southeast Alaska Native communities in Kake, Angoon, Wrangell. Let's face it, where our military committed some really horrendous actions, killing people, our own American citizens. And for those communities, after these ceremonies over the last couple of months, I think the arc of justice is bending for those communities, and that's positive. And saw a lot of emotion when I was in Angoon for those ceremonies with the Navy, where people had been thinking about this for well over 100 years and finally could relieve their emotions on that day, those days where it was sad, but also a relief. And I'm sure I don't have to remind many of you that right up the road from here, another really important part of our state and country's history, 3,000 African American soldiers during World War II in segregated units worked night and day in brutal conditions to build the Alcan Highway in a little under a year. That's one of the great engineering feats, civil engineering feats anywhere in the world, in my view. And that was a great group of patriotic Americans who did that. On October 25th, 1942, less than 8 months after they started, in two different directions, two soldiers, one African American and one white, shook hands after completing this highway. Again, an incredible feat of civil engineering and hard work and determination. 6 years later, President Harry S. Truman ordered the Army desegregated, 16 years before the passage of the Civil Rights Act. As I've said before to many of you, our military isn't perfect, but it has been one of the most forward-leaning civil rights organizations in America because of the work it's done. And I know we have so many veterans on the stage today and in the audience. The success of the Alcan actually helped make that possible in terms of desegregation of the military and even moving on to the passage of the Civil Rights Act. The Alcan was part of the road to civil rights, and that's actually part of our heritage in Alaska, and that's pretty great special heritage. So is the celebration today, a time and a place where all people can get together and celebrate the great American Dr. King and America's long path towards a greater union. We still have much more work to do, and still we can all learn from Dr. King's legacy in the way we treat one another, in the way we dream of what kind of America we want, in the way we see the humanity in all, and very importantly, in the way we judge one another. In Dr. King's immortal words, not by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. I hope you have a great ceremony today. Thanks again for the invitation to say a few words. God bless.
In early December 1941, the United States hadn't officially entered World War II, but its entry into the war seemed inevitable. Reginald Arthur Beverly, a high school math teacher, was drafted to join the Army and to support the 95th Engineering Regiment.
And they didn't have time to teach other soldiers the mathematics and so forth. And since I was a high school math teacher, that's why they sent me to Fort Bragg.
2 days later, the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor forced the U.S. to join the conflict. In response to the Japanese threat, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers undertook an ambitious project to help get troops and supplies to
My apologies for that. That was my error. I will take responsibility. At this point in time, we're going to have elected officials for a few remarks. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. As you know, probably I am the mayor of the Mat-Su Borough, and I did not work on the Alaska Highway project, okay? Just in case anybody's wondering. I was alive during that time, as you can tell from knowing me, but anyway. One of the things as mayor of the Mat-Su Borough that I have tried to encourage was community. And as I see all of you here today and what we're celebrating, to me that is part of what makes the Mat-Su Borough the best place to live, work, and play. And so it is my honor to be here today and to acknowledge Martin Luther King. The lighting's a little bit different up here, so pardon me. The Reverend Martin Luther King dedicated his life to assuring quality social justice and opportunity for all of us, for us, our nation to recognize that the individual liberty that we all enjoy and our common equality. Whereas his enduring legacy continues to improve as we are living a long time after that. And it's events like this and the honoring of your attendance that continues to make his legacy continue on. Whereas the Mat-Su Borough is committed to fostering a community that reflects Dr. Martin Luther King's vision of freedom, equality, and justice for all of us. So whereas in observation of this day, for our community, I encourage all of the members of the Mat-Su Borough to honor his legacy and to continue to put into the practice of what example he set for us. And I want to also personally just to encourage all of you that God has put a dream in your heart, that you will move forward with that dream. And as you move forward with the dream that God has put in your heart, all of us will be better, and Alaska will be better, as well as the Mat-Su Borough. And as always, we are especially glad to be a part of the Mat-Su Borough, where it is the best place in the state of Alaska, and maybe the nation, or maybe even the world, to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Hello, and apologize for the mayor of Wasilla, Mayor Ledford. She could not be here prior to a previous appointment, but she asked me to read the proclamation. So, the City of Wasilla proclamation recognizing Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Whereas the City of Wasilla honors the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a leader who dedicated his life to advancing equality, justice, and peace for all people. And whereas Dr. King's leadership during the civil rights movement led to monumental achievements, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which transformed our nation by expanding rights and opportunity for millions. And whereas Dr. King encouraged Americans to come together, regardless of age, race, or creed, to strengthen their community, alleviate poverty, and value the dignity and respect inherent of all people. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day serves as a reminder of the power of nonviolence, compassion, and courage in the face of adversity, and calls us to continue striving for justice and dignity for all individuals. Whereas the City of Wasilla is committed to fostering a community where every resident is valued, treated with respect, and empowered to contribute to a greater good. Now, therefore, I, Glenda D. Ledford, Mayor of the City of Wasilla, do hereby proclaim January 25th, 2025 as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the city of Wasilla and encourage all Alaskans to honor Dr. King's legacy by encouraging acts of service, kindness, and solidarity that strengthen our community and promote equality for all. Dated this 13th day of January 2025, Glenda D. Ledford, Mayor, City of Wasilla. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Josh Tudor. I'm the Deputy Mayor for Palmer, Alaska. As I stand here in front of you today, I'm deeply humbled by the hard work of Mr. Jackson and the Matsub MLK Jr. Foundation. I'm proud to say that he's a neighbor, lives a couple houses down from me in Palmer, and he's an amazing, amazing person. And all the leaders and volunteers that have done so much work to make this day special and memorable. The Mat-Su Valley and the whole state is better because of the work that the Mat-Su MLK Jr. Foundation is doing. And I'm happy to share a few words to you on this special day on behalf of the City of Palmer. The City of Palmer is always and forever proud to support Martin Luther King Jr. Day and honor the world-changing work that he did. May the things that each one of us do each day continue toward the good work that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did and work toward. Thank you.
We're so delighted today to be thrilled and blessed to have the Alaska Jazz Workshop Quartet. This is an in-kind donation, and we really appreciate their time and efforts, especially the ones that came from Anchorage. The support they value, the Mat-Su community celebrations of Dr. King. The AJW Jazz Quartet members include, I hope I don't mess this up, John Dainberg on drums, Mark Manor on guitar, Craig Cundy on alto sax, Joel Stromoli on bass. With two numbers, I present to you the Alaska Jazz Workshop Quartet.
Check 1, 2. Thank you so much. My name is John Danberg. I'm the president of the Alaska Jazz Workshop, and we would like to thank so much the Mat-Su Martin Luther King Celebration Day Foundation for inviting our members of our Alaska Jazz Workshop faculty. Mark Manders over here on guitar. Give it up for Mark. Craig Conde on the alto sax. Joel Stamolis on the bass. I'm John Danberg on the drums. And in case you don't know what the Alaska Jazz Workshop is, it's something that I founded in 1995 to provide an after-school gathering place for students, grade 6 through, I think our oldest student was 89 so far. We're going for 100 if anybody's out there that wants to learn more about how to improvise and create music. We teach classes during the school year at UAA. Mark is teaching our Wednesday night adult class. I'm teaching a Friday afternoon middle school and high school class at UAA in the Fine Arts Building. During the school year, in the spring, we go out and do 18 to 20 in-school jazz improvisation workshops in the middle schools in the Valley and also in Anchorage. We also have our summer jazz camp the first week of August, which is great. We're going on our 38th jazz camp since 2000. Yeah, so creative music is alive here. And then 3 summers ago, I started the downtown free jazz concerts at Parachevich Park, right down in the corner of 4th and East Street there in Anchorage. Every Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m., you can bring your lawn chair if it's a nice day. Come on out and enjoy some nice jazz. Performed by the local bands, student ensembles, and professional groups that want to share their love for playing this style of music with you. So that's just some of our programs. If you want to find out more about our organization, just Google Alaska Jazz or go to our website, www.akjazzworkshop.org. That first song we just played, that was Mercy, Mercy, Mercy by Joe Zawinul, who was the piano player for the Cannonball Adderley Quintet in the 1960s. Great song. I saw those guys. I grew up in Michigan, in Detroit. I saw them at the University of Michigan playing that song, and that was a great thing. The next thing we're going to go on to is a song by Stanley Turrentine, and this is a song called Sugar.
Thanks to the jazz band. And now we will have the previous started program on the Alaska Highway. And this is important. It was a military project over 80 years ago, but it is a significant contributor to who we are today, getting supplies and food and other things and people to Alaska now. And it has helped open up Alaska and develop Alaska. And we are here and successful because of this project. And the Alaska part of the Alcan was built by segregated black military units. So hopefully there'll be some people coming up and talking about that, and hopefully you will learn something about Alaska, learn something about the Alcan Highway, and how we got to where we are today. Video.
In early December 1941, the United States hadn't officially entered World War II, but its entry into the war seemed inevitable. Reginald Arthur Beverly, a high school math teacher, was drafted to join the Army and to support the 95th Engineering Regiment.
And they didn't have time to teach other soldiers the mathematics and so forth. And since I was a high school math teacher, that's why they sent me to Fort Bragg.
2 days later, the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor forced the U.S. to join the conflict. In response to the Japanese threat, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers undertook an ambitious project to help get troops and supplies to Siberia. In order to combat the Pacific threat, they would construct a road more than 1,700 miles long and cut through the Yukon and Alaskan wilderness. Beverly's element was tasked with taming one of the world's most challenging environments.
Around the coldest I experienced was 67 degrees below zero.
The 95th was one of 3 all-black regiments to join a handful of white engineering regiments in the construction of the highway. While they worked side by side with their white counterparts, their experience was far from uniform. The white soldiers lived in hardened barracks, while the black soldiers lived in canvas tents.
The frost on the tent was about an inch thick on the inside, and that kept the cold air out.
Despite the frigid winter, the muddy summer, and being given less equipment than their white counterparts, the 95th Engineering Battalion excelled in their mission.
We knew they had different standards for the white soldiers and black soldiers. We've finished the highway in less time than they gave us. That was a positive thing for the black soldiers.
On October 29, 1942, the Alcan Highway was completed, less than 7 months after construction began. After its completion, members of the 95th, including Beverly, were sent to join the European campaign. There they continued to serve with distinction as they repaired the damaged infrastructure and enabled the Allied offensive.
Yes, I was proud to have served in the military to help other soldiers along, and serving in the military to give you a broader insight on life.
75 years after his battalion first started navigating the Alaskan wilderness, Delta Junction and Fort Greely, Alaska, at the trail end of the Alcan Highway, chose to honor Sergeant Beverly with a proclamation of appreciation and a key to their city.
Not only were you the trailblazers out on the Alcan, but you were also trailblazers for the American Civil Rights Movement that was yet to come, and most of you didn't even know it. So I say to you, thank you for your service, and on behalf of Delta Junction and Fort Greely, thank you.
Thank you so much. Be assured that after 75 years, Your contribution is so appreciated daily. I thank you very much.
I'm very proud of receiving the key to the city of Delta Junction as appreciation for the work we did on the Alcan Highway.
And since the Alcan Highway is still a primary route through Canada and Alaska, the work they did 75 years ago still dramatically impacts the daily lives of many Americans today.
And even though those units was segregated and was living under what would be considered cruel conditions, they was proud to serve, and they was proud to serve because even before Martin Luther King came along, they wanted to prove to America that black soldiers could make a contribution, that he was worthy, and they wanted to be seen as other Americans. And now I will read with you in his own words the story of Reginald Beverly. My name is Reginald Beverly, and this is my story. I was born in a little rural area known as Rutherford Glen, Virginia. The date was January 31st, 1915. I was the firstborn of John and Claudia Beverly. They later had 3 more children. So growing up was never born in our household. My parents were both school teachers who taught us to make learning fun. We made up all kinds of games, which included calculating and learning shortcuts to many mathematical functions. Later in life, I came to realize that this was the basis of my teaching and engineering careers. I stayed in Rutherford Glen to attend elementary and high school. After graduating from high school, I attended Virginia State Normal, which is now known as Virginia State University. It was a state-supported 4-year institution of higher learning for blacks. I majored and received a Bachelor's of Science degree in mathematics in 1938. After graduating, I got a job as a math teacher at Union High School in Bowling Green, Virginia. After settling into my career, my life was abruptly interrupted. I received a draft notice stating that I had to report to the Army immediately. The next day I went to school, took attendance, told my students goodbye, and rushed to Bowling Green. I was inducted in the Army and was sent to Fort Meade, Maryland, for basic training. I was 26 years old. When I entered the Army, it was 2 days before the bombing of Pearl Harbor, which was December 7th, 1941. I was assigned to the 95th Engineering Regiment because of my university degree, which was rare. Engineering recruits in the Colored Regiment had to undergo 12 weeks of training. The first 2 weeks, everybody did the military discipline, drills, hygiene, sanitation, as well as care and maintenance of equipment. The next 6 weeks, we learned how to shoot a rifle and pistol. But most important, we learned carpentry, welding, and the use of hand tools. Since I had a college degree, I was sent for special training. Surveyors was needed, so I was sent to Fort Belvoir, Virginia. At this fort, we learned to drive Caterpillar bulldozers. The 95th had more high school and college graduates than any other black regiment. When we finished our training, we had no idea where the Army was going to send us. In late May 1942, after a long journey west, we arrived at Dawson Creek, British Columbia. Our Colonel Newman said to General O'Connor that the 95th was ready to start work on building the Alcan Highway. Colonel Newman was told that the 95th would have to hand over most of the heavy equipment to the white 341st, whom equipment hadn't arrived. We were upset. With all of our training, we were experienced bulldozer operators, and the 341st was not. The 95th had been working together as a team a lot longer than the white 341st. Even though we were upset, we were proud to serve any way we could. My mission was to serve the regiment as a regimental surveyor. We was given 2 years to complete this mission, and we completed it in a little over 8 months. Even though it was a tough assignment, I was happy to contribute to the U.S. winning World War II. I took pride in the work we did on the Alcan Highway. After my military career, I returned to Caroline County, Virginia, and resumed my teaching career. At last, I was able to marry my sweetheart, Bessie Johnson. On Christmas Day, 1945, we were blessed to have, we was blessed to have 3 girls, Claudia, Katrina, and Josephine. I'm very proud to say that all of my daughters graduated from my college, Virginia State University. When I was 100 years old, I was visited on May 27th, 2015 by the Alaska Highway Project, and they made a video of me telling my experience helping to build the Alaska Highway. I was pretty excited that they filmed me for 3 days. I also was called by teleconference into the Alaska legislature to support SB 46. This bill made October 25th of every year African American soldiers' contribution to building the Alaska Highway Day. It passed both the Senate and the House of Representatives in 2017 and was signed into law at the Anchorage Veterans Memorial by Governor Walker. I was so proud to be a supporter of this historic event. Of course, many details of my story has been omitted. After all, I lived to the ripe old age of 102 years. I'm going to leave you with my favorite saying, on the ball. And next you will hear from Jim, a person who is very instrumental in the Alaska Highway Project and trying to move this along so we as Alaskans don't forget the contribution that those regiments made to building the Alaska Highway.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Dalt, and my wife Shayla Dobson and I, and Gene Pollard and Andrew Knoll, comprise the Alaska Highway Project mission. We have a display outside, so I would like to thank Simon Brown. He's one of our readers. We do a readers theater every year, a couple times a year, and usually in the summer. And it's free for everyone to go to, and it tells different stories of different soldiers throughout the history of the Alaska Highway Project. It is a tremendous thing. My dad was wounded in World War II in Luzon. He was paralyzed for 6 months, and he read about the Alaska Highway being built and the Homestead Act, and then he was able to walk after 6 months. And he says, I'm going to move to Alaska, and I'm going to homestead 160 acres, and that's what he did. And he brought my wife, my mother, and my brother, my older brother, and the rest of us were born either in the territory, but I was the first one born in the state in 1959. These 4 regiments, the Black Army regiments, the 93rd, the 95th, the 97th, and the 388th, were here to build the highway and also to have the canal pipeline that went along it. It's all really interesting history. It was designed to repel an attack from the Japanese from the east, or from the west. They would be coming over. So they created this highway, and to build it in, actually it was 8 months and 14 days is what it took them to build it, and it was 1,600 miles. Of course, now it's been shortened, so they took out a lot of the curves. And there's still a little section you can drive that's actually the original part. We worked with the governor and the legislature to get the October 25th, the African American Soldiers' Contribution to Building the Alaska Highway Day. We have a display out front that shows some of the pictures from there with Governor Walker signing it. And we've also made some benches for the African American engineers in Cuddy Park in Anchorage. Our goal is to build an area that tells this really unique Alaskan story and American story. And you can see our design for our model for our sculpture outside there in the lobby, and we'd like you to come and see some of the interesting books and information we have there, and hope you can enjoy what you're seeing there. And I think this really was the first road to civil rights. It happened in Alaska and Canada. So thank you very much, and we will now hear from Shayla Dobson.
Thank you. I would first like to introduce our chairperson, Dr. Jean Pollard. And her sister, Felice Pollard Williams. And Felice is first going to read a poem that Jean wrote 3 days after Martin Luther King assassination that was written by Jean. Can you fix this right here? So it's for you. Okay. Is that good enough?
It's a long road to freedom, and we were nearly there until an assassinated bullet took Reverend King from here. It's a long road, and it leads on straight ahead. Reverend King was showing us the way in the marches which he led. It's a long road, and he turned neither left nor right. He stayed on that road, and he fought with all his might. He fought strong with words. That was the only fighting he would do. He was against violence. He preached against it too. For now at last, he shall have peace. For now at last, he is free. Must we die too to get our freedom? Is this the way to be? I doubt it. Not from my point of view, or from where we now stand, but from Reverend King's last speech. I have seen the promised land. The riots may soon stop, but the violence will go on. It didn't stop with JFK, and with Reverend King, it had just begun. His last speech seemed so real and so foreshadowing to me. It seemed as though he knew where his next step would be. He was a man of God. He carried neither gun nor knife, and yet his beliefs were shattered by the hands that took his life. Reverend King is gone in flesh, but his dreams we'll still explore. But he'll remain in our hearts for opening us a door. Now, he didn't just unlock the door and show us the way. He himself went in. Maybe that's why he's gone today. He didn't ask for kindness, yet this is what he gave. He didn't ask for violence, yet no longer shall he live. God knows how much a man can bear, and Reverend King had his share. Maybe his life was taken to release him from more despair. There are no prayers to be said or any speeches to be spoken to bring back a man sent to us from God as a token. God sent him in a way God sent him in a way to help those in need, and yet somewhere while hiding, a man plotted to make him bleed. He had a dream, and a courage he did lead. He had a dream, and his followers still do plead. How many leaders would be assassinated before this world would be a place where black and white alike can live together equally? Now that Johnson have signed the papers, there will be many who shall say, if this had happened sooner, Reverend King would be here this day. But can they honestly stand up? And can they honestly say that the signing of these papers would have meant a delay? No, it cannot be said. And this even Reverend King knew, because he had been to the mountaintop, and God had told him what he'd do. This road that's clear, this road that's clean, this road that many here have not yet seen, though it's so narrow, it seems to close up on us. The road's there and waiting. It's we who must get on. But Reverend King is on a different road now. He's higher than any mountain can stand. And he began marching that road when the Lord took him by his hand. He's on a road which no assassin can make him stop or make him wait, because the road he marches on now leads straight to heaven's gate. Thank you.
When I was in Texas, and she said it.
The next road that Jean Pollard wrote, Dr. Jean Pollard, was called Two Roads to Civil Rights. And we embraced this poem with the Alaska Highway Project team. In 1942 was an era where Jim Crow laws and segregation were commonplace, where blacks and whites did not work together, though both were of the human race. The military had a separate rule. They weren't allowed to send blacks to a cold state, and if blacks were sent, they weren't to go into towns. This cruelty was meant to intimidate. Can you imagine sleep trying to flee from you, and you wonder what that sound you hear? Only to find out it's not others working at night, it's hundreds of mosquitoes circling your ear. Many worked about 20 hours a day with poor clothing, low temperatures, and little food. But each black soldier from the South refused to let mistreatment alter his mood. How could he remain so positive when his circumstances begged him to complain? It must have been that daily prayer led by Edward Carroll, his Army chaplain. He endured prejudice and substandard treatment. His used truck was destined for salvage, yet this soldier continued to move ahead every inch, every step, not counting the mileage. His clothing was unsuitable for the harsh climate, as well as the cloth tent he used. Though his white counterparts resided in Quonset huts, he did not rebel at being abused. He showed camaraderie by his strong work ethic and his tenacity to forge ahead. He showed strength when at 60 below, the frozen ground and snow was his bed. The Alaska portion of the highway was the most difficult and hazardous to defeat. It's built by the African-American Army engineers who never showed any signs of retreat. And he had no way of knowing, as he pushed his bulldozer towards Canada, that the highway would be compared to the building of the canal in Panama. Finally, a commander took notice and said, "These men did an exceptional job under duress. They never showed anger or sadness. They never showed any signs of stress. And we don't just honor them for building a highway so we can drive from here to Nebraska. We honor them for opening up integration, and it started first in the state of Alaska." Corporal Refined Sims was heading south when he saw the forest fall in the breeze, and as he backed up, Alfred Jalutha came bulldozing down a group of trees. Because of them doing so well on this project, which is now something that we do know, the U.S. military became integrated. They were the first government agency to do so. We honor the legacy of Dr. King because he yielded to any fights. He just peacefully marched on the road to bring about civil rights.
Coming to the stage now, we have a dynamic singer that I've had the chance to actually halfway play the drums with at my church. She hails from Eagle River, and if you're not blessed with her voice, then you've got something in your ear, because she is a dynamic singer. So I bring to you to the stage Reverend Dr. Londa Watson.
Thank you for that warm introduction. How's everybody doing out there? Woo, make some noise. Hallelujah. I'm going to do just a little medley of 3 songs. The first song is My Soul's Been Anchored in the Lord by Florence Price. That's a little operatic piece, African-American opera singer from the day. Soon We'll Be Done by the great Mahalia Jackson. And a little something for everybody, some Sam Cooke, Long Time Coming, just a little piece of all of that. Thank you.
Ever so
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Watson. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a part of the program that we're kind of shifting gears. Many of you know our vice president, we lost him this past August. And it's only befitting that he represented a lot of things, not only a personal friend of mine, but he was like a brother to me. And I loved him very, very, very much. He exhibited such a character, and as Dr. King said, you look at his character, and you can simply know that he was a man of honor, man of dignity, because he was involved in a lot of different organizations in the Valley. So we're going to have a few people to say a few words with them, and then we'll have this tribute. I want to introduce you the Rotary President now, David Seals.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here today, not only to celebrate Dr. King's life, but to be here to uplift my friend Melvin. He was my friend, my mentor, and a brother. I haven't known Melvin very long, but he was the first person I was introduced to when I joined Wasilla Sunrise Rotary. And from that moment on, I could tell Melvin was a man of great character. Not only was he the president of our Rotary Club during probably one of the worst times, COVID, but he held our club together, showed us courage and strength. And I also served with him on the Planning Commission for the city of Wasilla, trying to make our area better, the city of Wasilla better for the residents. He was the senior on the Planning Commission at the time, and he nominated me to be chair. I go, Melvin. He goes, no, you'll do fine. So I want to uplift Melvin. He's a great friend and a dear brother. I loved him very much. And with the end of this, those I have loved, though now beyond my view, have given form and quality to my being. They have led me into the wide universe I continue to inhabit it, and their presence is more vital to me than their absence. Melvin was a friend and a brother, and he'll be sorely missed. Thank you.
Today, we've been talking a lot about what Martin Luther King stood for, and a part of his big vision was serving. And I think you can't find a better example than Melvin Sajel. Melvin served in the military for over 20 years, again, giving himself for others. He served in his local church, not only here, but as he moved around the country in the military, he served in different churches. But in Alaska, he served at Shiloh Baptist Church. He not only served there, he served as the treasurer, he served in the choir, and he was always willing to give part of himself to make life better for someone else. He served in the city of Wasilla on the Planning Commission. He served on the Rotary Club. He just was doing different things throughout the community. Even with the jobs he had where he was getting paid, he still gave of himself that someone else may have a better life, that someone else may have a chance that maybe he didn't have when he started off in life. And that's what this day is about. And I encourage you to look at people like Melvin Sajel, who gave themselves constantly over and over for his nation, for his state, and for his community, and for his family, so that someone else may be able to smile. Someone else may be able to get a vision that maybe I can be more than I am today. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can become a military officer. Maybe I can be successful. Maybe I can bring a smile to someone else. And that's what Melvin Sajel was about. And I encourage all of us to emulate that attitude. And not only this day, but look at Martin Luther King, look at Melvin Sajel, and say to yourself, what can I do to make someone else's day a brighter day? Thank you.
wanted you for life, you and me in the wind. I never thought there'd come a time that our story would end. It's hard to understand, but I guess I'll have to try. It's not easy to say goodbye, the joy we shared, all that time we had to spend. Now if I had one wish, I'd want forever back again. To look into your eyes and hold you when you cry. It's not easy to say goodbye. I can remember all those great times we had. There were so many memories, some good, some bad. Yes, and through it all, those memories will last forever. There's peace in where you are. Maybe all I need to know. And if I listen to my heart, I'll hear your laughter once more. And so I've got to say, I'm just glad you came my way. It's not easy to say goodbye.
Melvin had a different side to him that some of you probably don't even know. It wasn't a bad side. But he had a side that, well, if you saw him, he was a hat wearer. He got me started wearing hats. So if you can pull up that video of the hat. But meanwhile, he was a good fishing buddy. And we always enjoyed conversations and holidays together. And I remember talking to his wife, and this has been dedicated to his wife and his family, Doris Agel and his children. The one thing I noticed and always had a pleasure was driving up and down the highway. And you guys know the highway can be dangerous at times. We were on a road trip to go to Kenai, and before we left, his wife reminded me, he says, you know, the Sagel family is notorious for moose, hitting a moose. I said, what do you mean? Well, the wife had a relative come up, going to a Denali, they hit a moose. Their son, a moose, jumped over the back of the car. He had a brother to come up. A few years later, they hit a moose again. So we went to, well, actually, his car was left in Soldotna to get repaired, so his wife we were making arrangements to go down there, and she looked at me, she says, you sure you want to drive with Melvin right now? I said, well, you know, I'll just pray that nothing happens, and sure enough, you know, we were okay. So if you can go to the hats with the slides with the hat, please. Now, this is just a small collection of what Melvin had. Second. Now, Melvin, we had a weird conversation when my wife said, you guys had some awful conversations. And we had, oftentimes when we go camping, we always try to take a picture of us in a compromising position where you're sleeping, you're snoring, or anything. And he always caught me doing that. So every time I try to catch him, I could not catch him because he would always wake up before I get the camera going. So we went to a Christmas party at a friend's house with my fishing buddy, Frank Phillips, and a guy named, oh gosh, he's gonna kill me for this. I'll have to remember later. I can't think of his name now. He must not be a good fishing buddy. But anyway, Melvin, we were eating, and I told my buddy, I said, look, I need you to fatten him up tonight because I need to get some pictures of him. Next one. I finally got him, and we told each other, and I know if you know Melvin, he would do this to me if he was here. Next frame. That's how he is. So I had to do it for him because I know he would do it for me. And if you know Melvin, Melvin was straightforward, and he liked to crack on you. And, you know, even though he's gone, but if he had been here, he would have still laughed at this whole thing. With that, we're going to bring some more jazz. So please, please welcome back the Alaska Jazz Workshop. Thank you guys for that. Thank you for that. Come to the stage, we got a gentleman that's going to sing Promise Keepers, Mr. Rodney Price.
No man is an island, no man stands alone. We all need our brothers to point each other home. As iron sharpens iron, we urge each other forth. As men of promise, honor, committed to you, Lord. So let us be our brother's keeper, and let us stand as men of love. Let us inspire each one as seeker to glorify the Lord above. To glorify the Lord above. No man is an island, no one stands alone. We all need our brothers to point each other home. As iron sharpens iron, we urge each other forth. As we are men of honor, committed to you, Lord. So let us be our brother's keeper, and let us stand as men of love. Let us inspire each one as seeker to glorify the Lord above. To glorify the Lord above. Thank you.
Did he say 252?
616 at 222.
5,000 years. And an American history that began in 1867, the main city of Anchorage has enjoyed a car racing history that parallels the lower 48 states, or as we call it, the continental U.S.
If there was somebody who knew the history of this place, who knows about Alaskan racing and is sort of like member number one, it was Mr. John Childs. That's who we were led to. So I believe the phrase we have in the continental United States is OG.
OG.
OG. You're not an OG?
Original gangster, right? OG. You know what that means.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at him light up. That's real. All right. Are you from Alaska?
McAlester, Oklahoma.
McAlester, Oklahoma.
Just down the street.
Yeah.
And then I joined the Air Force. Then, after the Air Force, and I came right up here.
So of all the places you could go, you said Alaska is my place.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to be. I just felt relaxed saying I'm going to Alaska rather than going to Alabama, Mississippi, or whatever else.
So what I'm hearing is Alaska in 1962 was as far away from Alabama as you could get.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know why. What was going on there?
When you show up here in Alaska, you've been to a bunch of racing events back on the lower 48
Oh,
states.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
What was the first motorsports event like here that you got to attend?
Well, we were racing on the highway.
Yeah.
No, well, it was controlled. It was real good, creative racing.
Yeah. How long of a run? Were you still doing a quarter mile, or was
it was a distance.
Okay, from here to there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Whoever got there first.
Yeah.
You started here, and whoever got there first won. We didn't have a lot of traffic up here.
Okay.
So we would race from that point to this point.
Yeah.
And let the cars go by.
Yeah. So
and
literally, like when you're playing stick and ball sports in the street, you have to stop and go car and let the car come through.
Yeah.
And then go right back to racing
Yeah.
once you're clear.
Yes.
I love this.
Nice to meet you. It's like we haven't been here for the last hour.
Yeah.
So before there was what we now call the Alaska Raceway Park, what was the racing scene here?
Well, they started, the first drag strip up here. It's called Polar Raceway back then.
The previous owner was getting pretty far along and was, for some reason, he asked me if I knew anybody that would run the track. So the first person I thought of was Randy Harris.
When we talked to John Childs, he kind of said you convinced him it was a good idea to go into owning part of Alaska Raceway Park.
Well, yeah, it was me and him and 4 other guys.
Neither one of us really had a big business mind.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
But both of us love drag racing.
We kind of saved the track because the owner was tired of it.
So it sounds like it was something you both wanted to do, but probably didn't have the background or the knowledge
No
to
background.
do. Yeah. So you didn't want
Yeah.
the track to go away or anything.
No, we didn't want the track to go away.
Yeah.
So even though you claim to not be the godfather of drag racing here in Anchorage, Alaska, sounds like you might be the savior.
He was going to turn it into a trailer park or something, So we got these guys together and kind of saved the day. And then Earl and his wife, they bought us out. And now they've been running it on their own and doing a great job.
So in terms of the Alaskan stock car racing scene, what is the class structure? Is late model the highest form?
Yeah, it's the premium class. The cars typically come up from the lower 48.
So basically nobody's building their own top late model chassis here in Alaska?
No. If anything, you buy the chassis or you buy a front clip or rear clip. Typically, they're 4 to 10 years old by the time we get them in Alaska.
For the Alaskan racer, utilizing one's resources defines the culture. But when it comes to maximizing those resources, one family of drag racers sets a new standard.
I'm guessing you're Jay?
I am Jay.
Because you're wearing the mic pack I gave you 5 minutes ago, but we're just meeting.
That would be so. That would be so.
What's your earliest memory of your dad's drag racing career?
They used to push start the cars
you know, down the track.
Yeah.
And then this is real vivid to me is I'd never heard a nitro car before. And that thing was just so loud. And I remember standing on the line going, that thing's blowing up, it's blowing up, because I heard nitro's boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, whoa, what is this thing coming at me?
Yeah.
So here's the shop all out here.
Oh, whoa. This is not what we expected at all.
Oh, well, you know.
This is legit.
This is how we play in Alaska, right?
This could be like Indianapolis.
Yeah, there you go.
How did this happen?
This is Jay's idea.
So most of the racing we've seen so far on this trip has been people doing it for the love of the sport in their after hours with their extra time. You seem to be able to do this full time and at a very high level. The cars that you have in your shop are not just like club racing levels of cars. They're world-class builds.
Over here, we got a twin turbocharged car we're building for a real special customer of ours.
Yeah.
When it's done, it should be the baddest car in the state.
Really?
Of Alaska, yeah.
How fast is this thing going to go?
This thing should run low sixes at probably 230 mile an hour,
Yeah.
a quarter mile.
Yeah, it's just faster than I've ever gone before. So
Yeah. Usually people that want to get something done end up here. I've been doing it since the late 70s. I mean, my heart has always been into this, so always wanted to do it and love doing it. So it's just kind of a natural progression. Over in here, we actually pressure test our cylinder heads.
Yeah.
We have a Rottler hone, a Rottler boring bar, you know, mill there, a lathe, another lathe.
That's a massive lathe.
Yeah, that's our baby lathe. We got another one out there that's bigger than that.
We've noticed that almost everybody we've met in Alaska, nobody does one thing. And even if you have one business, that business doesn't do one thing.
Yeah, we actually build transmissions. We have a complete machine shop. We have a welding fabrication shop. We've done some oil field work, you know. I mean, our shop, we're busy all the time, but racing season is pretty short up here, so you have to be diverse in this economy, and that's what we've done, so.
Is this a result of the fact that you guys live basically on an island here in Alaska compared to being able to get parts and stuff as easily back in the lower 48?
You know, we're getting stuff machined in New York.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is crazy having stuff out in New York. So then we just started accumulating our own tools so we could do it ourselves.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm going to take away from my time in Alaska from the motorsport side of things is that it's definitely a bigger family sport than I've ever seen in anywhere else. And I've gone all over North America for racing. Why is that? Why is Alaska so based on family and community?
Well, you know, Alaska is a remote state, right? So when you're trying to get race car parts, you actually, you know, try to use everybody you can, you know, that's close to you. So that's probably why we work so good together. And I mean, that's all Alaskans typically try to help out Alaskans first.
I'm thoroughly impressed. Sean and I didn't expect this.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know we were going to be walking into like such a high-end shop.
Ladies and gentlemen, to believe that this actually happens in Alaska, in the beauty of Alaska, that we are so privileged today to have the son of John Childs and his mother to even further explain to you or talk to you about the historical event of breaking racial barriers and nonviolence. Thank you, sir.
Oh my goodness, hard to follow all that action going on there. I feel so honored to be on the stage to even tell our stories. My mom and dad and my wife out here they supported the community, our neighborhood where we grew up. Kind of a short story here on our background here is in our neighborhood when we were working on race cars, building race cars, it was my mom and dad would invite all the neighborhood kids, would always come over to the house and help us. We
when we're talking about breaking barriers, we had friends everywhere. All of our, I can't even tell you how many neighbor kids would always come over and help us. It was always great. Growing up was the best thing for me in Alaska. As far as breaking the barriers, all my mom and dad always said is, Jay, do and be the best you can, you know. Me growing up here in Alaska, that's all I ever strive for, is to make my mom and dad proud. They have instilled that in me, and pretty much that's kind of what we've done. As far as everything that we've done here in Alaska, since I was born and raised here, you know, we were just doing our own thing. Now, the fact that we've done so well in Alaska, all I was ever taught when I was a kid is do the best you can and be the best you can, and, you know, Mom and Dad instilled that in me, and that's, you know, the way I've grown up and what I've always tried to do. Kind of a short story here I gotta tell you. When I was a little kid, I didn't talk at all. I didn't talk till I was probably 10 or 11 years old. I just watched people. So one night, I was in my room doing my homework, and my dad comes in, and he's like, Jay, why are you so sad? I says, well, Dad, I got to do a report tomorrow. He says, well, what kind of report are you going to do? I said, well, I got to get up in front of all the kids and do a report. He says, what are you going to do it on? I said, well, Dad, I don't know anything. He goes, what do you mean you don't know anything? So you know about these race cars? And I was like, well, of course I know about the race cars, but that's nothing. He says, yes, that is something. He says, what time's your report? I says, well, we're going to do it about 11 o'clock. He says, I tell you what, son, I'm going to bring the dragster over to the school. I was like, you're going to do what, Dad? So I'm going to bring the dragster over to school, and you're going to do a report on that dragster. I was like, oh, that's going to be pretty cool. So sure enough, teacher calls me, Jay, what are you going to do your report on? I says, well, we need to step outside. So sure enough, they open up the doors to the school. All the kids run out. Here's this dragster out there. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I said, at that time, I didn't talk. From that day forward, my life started and changed. My dad was doing that. I was like, I have the coolest dad. And after that, all the neighbor kids from all the schools would want to come over and spend time with us. So that's just one story of hundreds that I have. But I'm just here to honor my mom and dad for raising me and doing such a good job. And the sense of community that we had growing up has allowed our business to flourish. I mean, people bring stuff to us, and it just, our family just extends right through them. So I don't know if I can say any more than that, but I'm very honored to be up here to honor our family and what we've done.
After closing remarks, then you guys will be here. Then you'll sing the song, Lift Every Voice. Then after that, we'll have a closing benediction. Then after that, you simply just kind of play us out. Before we get to the next presenter, I want you guys to stand up and give a warm welcome and a warm thank you for the John Childs family. John Childs, Drusilla Childs, and Jay Childs. That they are just a dynamic family that really outshine and really does some really wonderful work at their shop and in the community, and also if you get a chance to go out to the Butte to watch them, I mean, it is amazing to see. You think this was something on the screen, go to the pit, but you better have some earplugs in, otherwise you're gonna need some new ears. With that, we got a gentleman that came in called Pound for Pound, and he will certainly give you more and more information about what they do and why they are here.
All right. All right. Thank you for that, Andre. Uh-oh. All right. I guess it's doing everything automatically. Anyway, so in regards to who we actually are, right? Pound for Pound Motorcycle Club. I think this thing's running a little bit too fast. It needs to go back. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's see if this thing's doing it or not. Is that going the right way or not? I think we'll get it here in a second. All right, so anytime you have an organization, one of the things you always want to look at is, who are you, right? So if you have a mission statement, do you write a mission statement and then try to match your mission statement? Or do you write the mission statement to match who you actually are? It's always something to think about, right? Well, in our case, it's pretty simple for us. I mean, all things considered, the mission statement that you see up there is exactly who we actually are. And that is also the mission statement that Pound for Pound Motorcycle Club, whenever we endeavor, when we're looking at a new member, we want people who identify with that. Because all things considered, that's who we actually have to be, beyond a shadow of a doubt. That's who we've always been, as far as our club's concerned. Now, the one thing that came past, let me go back here one time. I don't know if they're in here or not. Let me see this. There we go. So, actually, my name is Curtis Harris. I'm a past president of the club. I'm a founding member of the club. We have with us, I see one left out of here already. He's gunshot, so he ran off. The president ran off, but I'm going to get him at the end anyway, though. But our vice president, though, Mr. Idris Irvin, is sitting here in the crowd. Just kind of raise your hand there so they know who to throw apples at if they don't like the presentation. All right, so the thing that we want to look at here is, as far as who we actually are, our club, naturally, we've been here since 2004. All right, that's one of the things we did. So for us, you want to have a black motorcycle club, Alaska didn't have any. So we're talking as far as breaking racial barriers, right, through nonviolence, it didn't exist. Now, before I go any further, I do want to say one thing, though, and that is I'm not completely happy with you all, General Brown and Andre, for putting us after the Childs family, because the cars they have will be down and back before we even get down there. We're on Harleys, all right? So, 6 seconds?
Okay.
That'll be something to see. All right. But anyway, though, we've always been a family-oriented type club as far as the things we've done here in Alaska. I mean, all the men that we have in the organization is one of those little deals where, and I'm just going to put up a few things here for you all. Now, I hate to have to be the one to say this, ladies, but men, I'm going to say we're an underserved community. Nobody really cares about men. I'm not talking about us in the club. I'm just saying nobody really, really cares about men. We care about women and children, but we don't really care about men for whatever ungodly reason, right? Men are supposed to stand on your own and make things happen, right? We provide, we protect, things of that nature. Well, for us, we look at the men's shelter that I'm sure you all are familiar with if you ever come in Anchorage. You go down Tudor right there on the right-hand side there, the Anchorage Gospel Rescue Mission, well, that's a place that cares about men. We being an organization of men, one of our focus was, hey, let's, now we kind of run the gamut as far as community service is concerned, but we're particularly interested in the plight of men. So these are just a couple of things we've done here. All things considered, I mean, we tend to raise funds, we make donations. We have another one already in the works for the English Gospel Rescue Mission. And they wrote an article on us, it is what it is, all things considered. And we think that they did a pretty good job in regards to, talking about who we are and the things that we actually do in the Anchorage community. And of course, not just Anchorage, because here we are in Palmer. So we will go a little bit further here. Let's see if we got something here. Can you play the video for us? I don't know if it'll play or not. I don't think I can get it from here. It's not working? Okay. Don't worry about it. All right, so bottom line with that video was, this is, we became a club in 2005. So in 2006, and again, we talk about as far as barriers are concerned, right? Governments never want to be involved with anybody that they don't know isn't on the up and up. If you don't represent what the government wants, then naturally the government is not going to do business with you. So this video is one that was taken the news station there when we were, because we knew some individuals at the municipality of Anchorage, and they said, hey, you guys are, a group of men, because they know exactly, again, who we actually are. Now, we may ride motorcycles, we may wear these vests, things of this nature, but we have business professionals, we have people who work for the federal government, people work for the state. Yes, sir. No video? That's okay. Yeah, he told me. Thank you. All right, so we have people that pretty much run in pretty much all areas of life. I mean, you kind of be surprised. People, you see a motorcycle club, you don't think they're along the lines of college-educated business professionals, but that's exactly who we are, all things considered. So it was just us, a video of us going there helping out the municipality, handing out toys and whatnot at the Lydia Shell Craig Center there coming right off of, I think I was off at the bar. So that was us, and they interviewed a few of us, and then, it just kind of highlighted some of the things we were doing in the community. Again, you think back to that mission statement. It's kind of hard to join something and then become that unless you already were that before you ever became that in the first place. So we always want to get the right people around us to do the things we need to do because of the type of men that we actually are and how we actually want to be seen. So just a little crowd participation. When did Alaska become a state? Is it 59? Okay, 59. All right, so the beautiful thing about this is, right, Alaska did become a state in 59. Now remember, there were no black motorcycle clubs here, right? So anytime you're going to join something, you also want to know, well, what are you getting involved with? What are you actually going to be around? Things of that nature. So one of the things that you've seen a lot of presentations about the Alaska Highway. All right, so there have been a lot of presentations that have dealt with the Alaska Highway, how the Alcan was. You finally saw one where they talked about the 93rd, 95th, and the 97th engineers, the black engineer regiments. We've had some of my frat brothers have been some individuals who were literally, their fathers was one of those engineers. That same gentleman there also happens to be a frat brother of mine. He's also a Prince Hall Freemason. When he came up, we had a chance to host him and, and give him presentations, things of that nature, because some of our brothers are right there in Delta Junction. So we had a good time with him when he came up as well. But the thing that, I put that name up there because you always hear about the good part, right? But history doesn't have to be liked, it just has to be told, correct? So we don't hide everything. So that particular name right there that I put up there for you is of a gentleman. Now, true, all those things happened. You heard about all the horrible conditions that the black soldiers had to endure, correct? Here's the gentleman who made sure that it happened, all right? Now, that name Buckner you've seen, it's all over Alaska. You'll see that name Buckner all over God's creation. The things you got to know about him is his father was a Confederate general. So ain't no getting around that. So you pretty much imagine his upbringing, right? From Kentucky, father's, you know what I'm saying, was a Confederate general. And of course, now he's a brigadier general, had been promoted to come up here to Alaska Territory because, of course, we weren't a state then. So remember, the Alcan was built in 42, correct? So in 42 is when the black regiments came up here. He came up here during that time frame. He's the one that ensured that all of the, and his picture, so a few things about that picture right there, right? And sometimes it's not always told. Now, the black regiments, we know that they said they had the toughest part to do, right? That's what they said, that they had the hardest going area to push through some things. But what's important about that is when they got to where they were supposed to stop at, the white counterparts weren't there yet. So rather than just stand there and wait for them, 2 weeks later, that picture that you're seeing right there is them when they kept pushing forward and kept going on. So they actually ended up doing some work for their white counterparts, which it didn't matter, all things considered, same United States Army Corps of Engineers. But bottom line is they pushed, that picture right there is not where it was supposed to have been at. It's actually further down the road where they pushed that work to. So we always want to talk about the fact that the 93rd, 95th, and 97th Regiments of the United States Army Corps of Engineers, the things they did. We also have, of course, Brigadier General Simon Boulevard Buckner to ensure that, and these things, they ain't just attributed to him, these are things he actually did say. So again, we're talking about Alaska. Do you actually want to be involved in these kind of things? Now, I've got friends, who are like, you've been in Alaska how long? Many of us, many of our members, I think we only got one person born and raised here, few, but for the most part, decades we've been in Alaska. And so the question is always, well, are there black people in Alaska? Is there racism in Alaska? Is there crime in Alaska? Because people don't know, right? We're just a place on the map that everybody assumes is really close like it looks on the map, all right? So we always want to make sure that we have a true account of history to make sure it's actually known, right? So the other piece, so we look at this and we're thinking, well, this is kind of a tough one right here, that General Buckner would have such a low opinion of his black troops because he didn't want them up here, didn't want to utilize them, but they came up here and as you heard, give you 2 years, we'll get it done in 8 months for you. So that's the type of excellence that comes out that we look, again, for ourselves to actually be involved in as well. But the best part about this is that very last line down here. And you also see the name in Alaska, Ernest Bruning. You all have seen buildings and streets and things of that nature named after that individual. And you can see what that individual did because he didn't like what Brigadier General Buckner did. So even though we were still a territory, even though Buckner, of course, being basically the son of a Confederate general, brought that racism up here with him, he was right up here waiting for us when we got here, right? Because of people like him. But the next piece about this is, that we also want to understand is, now there's a lot of things, and I've been on Fort Rich, and that's why I worked there for quite some time. I managed the Joint Basin Office on Fort Rich, and there's things all over Anchorage, all over Alaska, with the Buckner name on it. But the history behind Buckner, a little different story, right? That piece right there, is it hidden? It's not hidden, you just got to read it. So those things actually do exist. So these are the same things that when, and I'm going to go past a couple others right quick here. Now, myself, I'm a veteran, I'm a veteran of the United States Army. So regardless of some of the reprehensible things that he did or may have said, we still got to look at the fact that the man served his country and what the man did. So does he deserve to have his legacy? Now, one thing a lot of people don't know about General Buckner is that he was the highest, and still is, during this time frame right here, the highest ranking officer that was killed during World War II. So in spite of the fact that he did some things that maybe we don't all agree with, the man still did a lot of things on behalf of his country, right? So when people ask, is there racism in Alaska? Are there black people in Alaska? I remind them that, racism was up here waiting on us long before we got here, right? Because of the efforts of some individuals who did things that they did, is what it is. And of course, they still promoted him to a 4-star general posthumously. Now, when we look at this picture here, when it comes to our club, right? This, I'm gonna say this is the earliest known picture of our club. Now, I don't see any young people in here. They have no idea what they're looking at. If there's anybody in here who's, younger than, I don't say younger than 40. But a lot of us in here wake up with bruises and bumps in the mornings, and we see a fuzzy picture, we pretty much know where that picture came from. This is actually an old Polaroid that we've had taken on that day, and I still have it. It's still in the club archives. So here we are. Black club didn't exist. We want to be a black MC. We knew the racism was here waiting on us. We knew that beyond a shadow of a doubt, right? So we have a lot of individuals, and most of us were veterans. We still had some of those guys actually do the military. Some of us were just veterans, again, business owners, professionals, in all walks of life. But these gentlemen right here, we had kind of whittled it down because, remember our mission statement, right? We always were that. Even though the mission statement may have kind of changed a little bit, we've always been those individuals. So the closest we come in this picture to having any kind of weakness, the closest that we come to having any weakness whatsoever in that picture, where you got to protect them, whether or not the right comes. If you look really closely on this far right-hand side over here, and I told my president I'm going to get him when his time comes, you see the gentleman standing there? You see the gentleman standing there in the white hat? And there's a guy with a number 72 on his arm. That's B. But that's me standing right there in the white hat. And that's my 22-year-old son, who was only 19 months old at the time. That's what we're talking about as far as, that's the only thing we have those weaknesses or whatever, right? Because 19 months, he can't do a whole heck of a lot, right? But our club has always been about brotherhood, being a shout out. We've always been a family. We literally have raised our kids together. And when it comes to our members, as it comes to our clubs, the gentlemen that we have are the type of gentlemen that you want to have around your families. Because we literally have raised our kids around one another. Every last one of us, it comes up. So that, and as you can see, no vests on. That's when we was first starting out, first deciding what do we want to do and how do we want to do it, right? As far as bringing a black MC to Alaska here. So challenges, do they exist? Absolutely, in a shadow of a doubt. But the funny thing I'm going to say about trust, racism, things of that nature, there's a flip side, right? Yes, no, come on, help me out a little bit here. There's two sides to a story, right? Right? Sometimes there's three, right? Your story, my story, and the truth, right? So the same thing still exists even when it comes to this right here, right? So when we wanted to start this Black MC, it was just some of the guys you saw on there, they were the ones who, they were like, hey, let's make it happen. So it's not like I don't know what you all see on TV. You can Google a lot of things. You can look at TV, Sons of Anarchy and Mayans MC and all that kind of stuff. This ain't that, shall we say, if I had to use poor vernacular here. But that's not the way this actually works. So there's a little bit of work that goes along with this to make some things actually happen for us. So it would have been great if something was already ready-made, so you have another black MC that can mentor you through the process to make some things happen, to go the way they need to go. Because if somebody's already here and they're already established, well, they get a vote, right? So we weren't at the table. So here we are in Alaska. There are no black MCs. There were no black people at the table. Didn't exist. So remember, two sides, right? We don't know them, but we don't know you, right? So those things kind of go back and forth, all things considered. There were no black people at the table. No getting around that one. That's just a simple fact. Didn't exist at that point in time. There are now, But there most certainly were not any at that point in time to actually be able to provide the type of mentorship and things that we needed. So it's one of those pieces where we look at these things, right? As far as like the coalition, and you all, I'm sure you see motorcycles coming through here all the time, because all summer long we're on rides, and sometimes you see those rides where it's like 100 bikes coming through, the benefit rides, things of that nature. That's, again, that goes right along with who we actually are, because that we can do, because those are things that we believe in, doing things for the community, you know, being a positive influence here. But that trust, distrust, as we all know, depending upon where you're from, it's sometimes it's a touchy subject. Can we agree on that? Sometimes it's going to be a touchy subject. And as I said, both sides. It's not always going to be that way. Now, when we talk about tell the whole truth or whatever, right, we had to make some decisions as for how we were going to do some things. I stand here, and it does not bother me in the least to say I was one of those people that did not want to join the coalition. Didn't want to do it, because that's one of the things that for somebody like me, at least where I'm from, you know, I'm from Klan country, so it just is what it is, right? Come from Indiana, last Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan was there. We dealt with that all the time. So my whole thing was, again, that trust piece, right? Well, I know what I'm used to seeing. So when I talk about as far as tattoos, how they tell a story, we do know tattoos do tell a story, right? Sometimes they tell who you used to be, and as we get smarter, you know, we grow up, we become different people. So that's one of those things, if you happen to be a person who believes in a religion or you believe in God, then you believe in second chances, and you believe that people can change. They aren't always who they used to be, even though tattoos tend to be that indelible ink that doesn't come off, right? Tattoos don't come off very easily, so they are what they are. And y'all know what I'm getting at. There are some things on there, sometimes you see them, you're like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not good with that. And that's on both sides, you know, because the other side had to look at us and say, well, who are these guys right here? You know, who are they? You know, what are they doing or whatever, right? So to let us come into that coalition was a discussion from the other side of the coin as well. Just like that group of men that you saw on there, there was also a discussion on our side saying, do we want to join with these individuals? Is that something we wanted to be? Well, my answer was a no. Just that simple. Flat and outright, no. Because the story that was being told was a story that I had seen my entire life growing up. The story I wanted no parts of. That story was not compatible with who I am. So when we talk about as far as, in this case right here, what is important about that? Well, there's a didactic at work here. Because you got to learn things as things go along. You got to learn some things. People teach you some things. You learn some things. People say a lot of words. The dictionary is full of them. But actions always matter more so than anything else. And so the actions of the individuals that they seen and the actions that we had, well, they led to the things that we actually have right now. So those organizations had no black men in them. There's no black men at the table. There was no black mentorship there. So there's a little bit of give and take on both sides. A little bit of building trust, being showered out to make some things happen. Even whenever we're doing something as far as with the municipality or anybody else, this one down here we talk about as far as this perceived and actual violence, things of that nature. I can tell you right now, one issue we never did have, there's no violence anywhere in our history from 2004 until now. Does not exist. Now, there was a huge racial barrier. We can all admit to that piece right there, right? But there was no violence, being a shadow of a doubt. I mean, everybody has their mindset. At that point in time, that picture, we were in our 20s. So for me, that was probably 80 pounds ago, being a shadow of a doubt. But we were in our early, late 20s to early 30s, so you had a lot of, men. And of course, if you're military, well, in the military, they teach you violence, do they not? I'm sure I'm not the only veteran standing in here. So we know how to handle ourselves, things of that nature. So sometimes you look at those things and you ask yourself what actually has to happen. So that's where, again, that teaching didactic comes in at, where you have to take the time to actually ask yourself, well, what is it that really matters? What are we trying to accomplish? And when you realize what you're trying to accomplish is that brotherhood, that community service, the education, uplift, things of that nature, well, then the rest of it's pretty simple. You can learn to work with anybody, especially when that person respects you, because respect has to be earned all day long. And we didn't just give respect to anybody. Neither did they give it to us. Both sides earned it, and that led to the things that we actually have today. See, so if somebody had tried to demand something like that from us with the way that we were at that point in time, I'm sure I wouldn't be standing here talking to you all in regards to breaking that racial barrier through nonviolence. Right? That would not have worked, because that wasn't our mentality. Nor was it theirs. But through the grace of God and through, again, education and smart thinking, we made some things happen. And all the way through that process, from when we went from wearing our own T-shirts to 1-piece, 2-piece, 3-piece, things of that nature. And again, you can Google a lot of things, and a lot of things you'll see will be true, but not all of them will be. But as far as our club's concerned, well, there's no Googling that unless you find a picture of us. But as far as our history and things of that nature, well, we're sharing that with you but it's not something that's readily available on the internet. So the other part of that coin, when I said we got to ask yourself sometimes, well, do you want to be associated with that, right? Again, we all watch TV, we see social media, so all things considered, as far as the 1%, because that was, again, at that point in time, I worked for the Division of Juvenile Justice. So me and criminal activity didn't get along very well. It's not the type of thing we're going to do. And again, a lot of people who had businesses, they had to ensure that they were, things were where they're supposed to be. So you can Google about 1% all day long. One thing we won't do, we're not going to discuss. Yeah, there are clubs here in Alaska that wear them. We see that. What does it mean? You got to ask them. It means to them whatever it means to them. Then a shadow of a doubt. That means what it means to them. But what you won't see on our vest is a 1% patch. Because it just so happens, in our own view, that is incompatible with who we are. That's incompatible with the mission statement that we have, with the Christian values that we have, the things that we do. We don't want that perception to land in our laps. Now, we don't have a problem with anybody else. That's their business, as far as what anybody else actually does. And again, what it means to them is what it means to them, right? But we've all seen them, and everybody thinks that bikers are gangs. That's just one of those weird little things where they just automatically assume that that must be something that goes hand in hand. But that's not always the case. Why am I saying that? I'm standing here talking to you about it right now. We never had any kind of problems whatsoever. Interesting thing about that, even though I had trepidations, I was a member of those people who had trepidations in the beginnings. As time came around, come to find out now, I've met some really good people all day long. A lot of us have, So when I say we built better bonds, better friendships, that happened because of the fact that we took the time, and again, education goes a long way, to be able to sit there and talk to one another and decide, and figure out things that's actually going to be beneficial to you. So moving on to this next piece. Hey, Jim, hey, Mike, y'all come up here quick. Yeah, you and Teddy. All right, so the things that I'm showing you, again, things you can just Google. Now, this is still up there. To this day, it's still up there in the Department of Justice, still in their website. That's a direct pull from their website. And of course, they call them, they call them gangs, things of that nature. Pound for Pound, Motorcycle Club has never been classified as a gang and never will be classified as a gang because we don't involve ourselves in any type of criminal activity. It's just, again, they're just things that are incompatible with the people that we actually are. And of course, the values that we bring are the things that we do. So without having to go too much further than this right here, whatever, what I am going to do, I'm going to bring up I'd like to bring up my vice president and my president just to say a few words here as we proceed to close here. Got you. Yeah, just two. So Teddy. Hey, y'all moving slow back here. So Teddy, your slides up right now. I'll get Mike after this. Go down.
My comments. Hi, my name is Idris Irving. I'm VP of Pound for Pound. And I just want to say understanding. Everybody knows what that word means, but, and everybody wants it, but it's not the first thing that everybody wants to give. Everybody wants to be understood, but nobody wants to understand right off. So as you go through your daily lives, try understanding first before judgment. Thank you all.
All right. And now our president, Mr. Michael Murphy.
Still have to teach tonight?
Hey, how's everybody doing? My name is Mike Murphy. I'm the current president of Pound for Pound. Thank you. I want to thank my Curtis Harris, past president, for coming up and doing such a great job of telling you a little bit about us. Okay, looks like he put some photos up there. Okay, I see him out there beating Teddy in the race. That's one of the only races we had a member break every bone in his body just about. But a little bit about us. Again, I'm the current president. I've been in Pound for Pound for a little over 20 years now, actually. Just like Curtis there, my son was newborn around the same time I joined this club. He's 22 now also. An organization like this, just speaking a little bit for myself, where it helped me grow tremendously, to be honest with you. As black men, a lot of us are from all over the world, right? I'm from Detroit, Michigan originally. A lot of these brothers are from, like I said, Chicago, Louisiana, and a bunch of other places. I'm also a veteran from the United States Air Force, so when I landed here, for me, it was lonely, to be honest with you. So meeting some of these brothers, meeting them right off the cuff brought me brotherhood immediately. We weren't a club at the time. We were just a bunch of guys that rode motorcycles and had a good time hanging out and just enjoyed each other's company. We pushed each other over the years at the beginning, all the way from way back when till now, actually. We pushed each other to become excellent black men in our communities, for our families, and to be able to reach out and help out others. Again, I've just personally, I've owned a HVAC company for 20 years here, and a lot of that hard work is due to these guys being able to have somebody to turn to and talk to in those times of needing some mentorship. I don't want to beat this up too much because I know I'm down and I only got like a quick minute, but if you guys have any questions or ever want to reach out or come support some of our events, we have a Facebook page where it says John Smith, Alaska Sport Bike Riders. If you look up John Smith, Alaska Sport Bike Riders, you'll find a bunch of events that we put on and some different things that we do in the community and a little bit of what we've done throughout the years. Man, that's way back in the day. I was a cool cat. Look at that guy. Look at that guy. That's me right there. You wouldn't know it, but still got the gray on. But well, I was a good-looking guy back then. But well, thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate you.
All right. And so they were able to get the video keyed up. So I think without further ado, he's about to go to the video, and we'll roll from there. That'll speak for us.
The municipality of Anchorage has done their toy drive. Well, I think we received approximately about 500 gifts, which was our goal was 350, and we ended up with 500. So actually we well exceeded our goal, and it was just a good feeling. And now we got an opportunity to do this and make this an annual event for the municipality as well. They were able to have something for Santa Claus to give. He's going to be coming here at 7 o'clock to give presents out and candy canes.
We got the correspondence from City Hall. They asked us, we would be willing to help out with the candy canes. So, that's always a great thing,
It's just our second year, and this is the best one ever.
Hey, we're just here and we're just trying to help out. That's our biggest thing.
We do it without all the help of the municipality of Anchorage helping out, and also the other people who have volunteered and done their donations for us.
Wow, it's been an eventful day. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Before you leave, we'd like to ask you, if you haven't done already, please fill out the survey because we need to get some feedback on you. Because each year, it's our goal to not present the same event or the same type of stuff year after year because it can be kind of redundant. So we really want to go and reach out to the community to bring different things and have a different theme and have different people to participate that will enlighten you, to give you some information that you may not have seen. We thank you so much. And then when you depart, outside, we should have some vegetables, stuff for you, some fruits for you. Take as much as you want, because I don't want to take it home. I don't have a pig. We have 300 cookies. I want to thank the King Career Tech High School in Anchorage. They made these cookies. They made 300 cookies for us last year and this year. And I will say 300 left the school, but 270 got here. Somehow they just disappeared. I don't know. But there'll be plenty of stuff for you guys to take. If you got somebody that can use, we got eggs and strawberries. You name it. We got all kinds of stuff out there. And it's for you guys. Thank you very much to Child's family, Curtis and LB, Pound for Pound. We thank you. I meant to ask you, what do you guys ride? Do you ride Yamahas or Harleys? So if I got a Yamaha, can I join? But would you accept me though? Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. I know a gentleman up here that he doesn't have a Harley. So, but with that, we're going to have a closing song. And Reverend Dr. Watts, will you come out and join us with the Jazz, Alaska Jazz Quartet to accompany, and then that'll be the program after the benediction. Thank you.
All right, everyone please stand on the back of your programs. You can sing along with me. At the bottom, back page, lift every voice and sing. Thank you so much for this jazz band accompanying us tonight. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let us resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Facing the rising sun, a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Amen. As we prepare to leave, we want to say to everyone, thank you and God bless you. As we leave here today, I'm reminded of the old saying, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Let's treat everyone like that. Treat everyone the way you want to be treated. That was Dr. King's dream, that we all could walk together hand in hand. As we prepare to go home, may God be with you. May God keep you. Heavenly Father, we thank you now. Thank you for what eyes have seen and our ears have heard. We pray, God, that as we leave this building, we can come together as a community. We can come together as a family, not looking at each other because of the color of our skin, but as Dr. King said, look at us and judge me by my character. Father, we pray now that you will let your will be done. Grant us a closer walk with you. And help us, oh God, that we will let freedom ring and let love abide from heart to heart and hand to hand, soul to soul. Now may the grace of God, sweet communion of the Holy Spirit, may it rest, rule, and abide in all of us and upon us. In Jesus' name we pray and we say thank you and amen.
Sonny? Sure.
Y'all leaving me?
Do it. 1, 2.